the council on team.
Yes, cool.
Six PM.
Still,
To get the bit started.
yep.
Thank you, Mayor. Confirm that we are now live.
Fantastic, thank you, and welcome everyone. Welcome to the gallery. Welcome to our community here tonight. And I'd like to open our meeting tonight by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands upon which we meet tonight, the Jara people. And I'd like to acknowledge their deep and enduring connection to the beautiful lands and waters upon where we meet, and the broader homes right across our shire. Acknowledging elders past and present, and particularly any First Nations people who are joining us today. So welcome everybody. I'd like to formally open now our ordinary council meeting of the 25th of August 2026, and I would like to invite Councillor Hockey to iterate the statement of commitment, please.
Thank you, Mayor. We, the councillors of Hepburn Shire, declare that we will undertake on every occasion to carry out our duties in the best interest of the community, and that our conduct shall maintain the standards of the Code of Good Government, so that we may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in this council by the people of Hepburn Shire. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hockey. We'll go to item number 3. Any apologies tonight?
No.
No apologies. So noted. Item number 4. Any declarations of conflict of interest, councillors? No officers? No. So duly noted, no conflicts. Item number 5. Now we have 3 minutes to adopt tonight. Excuse me, the ordinary council meeting of the 23rd of June, the special meeting on the 30th of June, and of course the special meeting on the 12th of August. So councillors, we'll do them one by one. So we'll do first of all the 23rd of June 2026. Councillors, you'll move. Thank you. Seconded?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much, Alison. We'll now do the special council meeting on the 30th of June.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Councillor Hockey. I'll take a second.
Second that.
It's Councillor Henderson. All those in favour? Unanimous?
Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much, Alison. And then, of course, the special meeting of the council on the 12th of August 2026. Do I have a mover?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Hockey. Seconder?
Oh, I will.
Thank you, Councillor Hewitt. All those in favour?
Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors. Just going down my agenda.
Point of order,
Just
Mr.
a
Mayor.
point of order. I mistook one of the things. I wasn't here for that meeting. I was here for the special meeting.
Oh, you were too. So, okay. So look, we'll go back to that. So that was on the 30th of June. All right. So we'll actually we'll redo that again.
Yes, please.
Okay. So who was the mover for that? Was it
That was Councillor Hockey.
Councillor Hockey? Seconder?
I will.
Thank you, Councillor Hewitt. All those in favour?
Carried.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Councillor Henderson, for pointing that out. Okay, we'll move to item number 6, councillors and officers. 6.1 petitions. In my understanding, there are no petitions. Thank you. 6.2, we have no formal request to address council. So we'll go to item 6.3, and we do have 6 questions. And we'll start off with the questions from Mr. Armfield. So what we'll do, Jenny, if I can ask you to read those, and we'll have Councillor Cornish read the response. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First question from Trevor Armstrong. In the Hepburn Shire Council budget for 2026-27, there is a provision for $110,000 for Lee Medlin Bottle Museum future feasibility. How many paying visitors have used the Lee Medlin Bottle Museum in the last full year?
Thank you. The museum volunteers have advised that approximately 400 to 600 visitors attended the site during 2025. This figure includes attendance by individual visitors and large tour groups.
Thank you.
Question 2, again, Trevor Armstrong. Why is it necessary to spend $110,000 to assess the future feasibility of the Bottle Museum?
The Bottle Museum requires substantial investment in ongoing maintenance and renewal. The feasibility study will provide council with the information needed to assess the long-term viability of the site, consider future options and determine the level of investment required to support any preferred option. This will help ensure future investment decisions are informed by a clear understanding of the costs, benefits and risks involved. Community engagement will form a part of the feasibility assessment. The interim CEO is also reviewing all similar projects in the context of council's revenue opportunities. I will add here for Mr Armstrong that Councillor Hockey has shown an interest, expressed an interest in speaking with Mr Armstrong, and he also, Councillor Hockey sits on the Bottle Museum Committee.
Thank you very much. Now we have questions. Heather, you're here? Yes, would you like to read your questions?
Doing something new tonight. I'm trying to read from my phone. Okay. Printer didn't work, so hope I don't lose it. Okay.
No worries.
Firstly, thank you, councillors, interim CEO and officers for the opportunity to ask some questions tonight. My 2 questions relate to the interim CEO's report, and I'd like to thank Ms Daw for providing your first report as interim CEO, and it was really pleasing and reassuring to read in your report where you state, and I quote, "Communication is an important element of good governance, which will be a prime focus of the executive team through all available means. It is essential to provide clear information based on facts, and this will be the standard for internal and external purposes to ensure consistency," end of quote. And I think the community will really be appreciative of that because we think there's been a problem. The focus of my 2 questions relate to the last paragraph of the report, where it is stated, and again I quote, "Lastly, I believe some practices which have been embedded over the years need to be explored and reviewed against best practice standards. An approach to these matters will be couched in the context of reducing process steps and giving delegation to the appropriate levels of the organisation. This will complement ongoing service reviews and give CEO oversight. In order to help me and others better understand a couple of questions. Thank you. Could you please expand on and give either a real or hypothetical example of practices which have been embedded over the years that may need to be explored and reviewed against best practice standards? And could you please expand on and give either a real or hypothetical example of what you mean by reducing process steps and giving delegation to the appropriate levels of the organisation? Thank you.
Thank you. And given these are specifically for you, I might ask you to respond directly.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you very much for the question. Questions, you've done 2 in 1, which is good. I think rather than give real examples, I can talk about things hypothetically because things that have built up over the years in many councils, and this is also from my experience as a monitor in 4 different councils, I see it everywhere. There are things that get added on in policies and reactions to changes in government rules and so on. And we're not very good, any of us, at pruning at the bottom and looking at something de novo, freshly. So I'm bringing fresh eyes, and I'm wanting to question everything that is standard practice in the context of the council plan and the need to look at our long-term financial sustainability. How do we get better as an organisation in both delivering services and increasing community satisfaction and getting more money in from other levels of government and organising ourselves efficiently to be able to deliver those sorts of things. They're just old habits in many ways, Mr Mayor. And giving delegation, to the appropriate levels of the organisation. I think we tend to operate in a top-heavy manner quite often, where we are not embedding or giving trust to third-level managers and coordinators. Things like access to things that people need on the job when they're outdoors. You know, old habits there. We've got 2 depots. We've probably got 2 different sets of embedded culture. Let's make sure we're consistent. It's that kind of thing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And I just, on the one of reducing processes, could you sort of just,
Oh, well, it's plain English.
Yeah.
Pure and simple plain English, and looking at the steps involved in getting to an outcome. They're often cumbersome and unnecessary, because if people use the English language properly, we'll make it much clearer.
And can I suggest that I'm sure there's lots of other questions, but perhaps also follow up. Ms. Dorr, outside of the meeting, I'm sure she'd be happy to have a chat too.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Heather. Do we have the next set of questions?
Yes, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm
Is it right?
not used to this. You know, I've never done this in my whole career. There you are.
Hepburn is the place of first.
Yes, I know.
Place
I
of
know.
first.
Deborah Semple is the next question. At the ordinary council meeting of 25th of November 2025, council resolved to sell surplus land holdings. The officer's recommendation was amended by councillors to change the wording from prioritising affordable housing outcomes in the sales to encouraging possible affordable housing outcomes in the sales. Item 8.1.3 of the minutes records the resolution as disposal of properties A to E will be executed via an expression of interest process that is unrestricted, but encourages affordable housing providers to submit. So in the absence of a Shire housing officer to facilitate such encouragement of affordable housing providers in the EOI process, what steps has council taken to proactively engage with registered community and affordable house providers to encourage them to participate in the expression of interest process for these properties?
Councillor Cornish.
Thank you for being here. I think that's you there. No, she's not.
No,
She's not here. No. Well, thank you online, wherever you are. Look, the expression of interest process is not yet commenced. Once this is underway, it will be an unrestricted process open to all potential buyers, including affordable housing providers, in accordance with the council resolution. Officers will contact affordable housing providers, inform them of the expression of interest process, and encourage them to lodge a submission. I want to add something here too. I did have a discussion with our CEO just this last Monday about this very issue, and she's given council some assurances that she's looking into commencing that process shortly or as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question 6, Deborah Semple again. What measures or processes are in place to ensure that the affordable housing opportunities identified in the resolution are actively promoted and translated into meaningful affordable housing outcomes rather than simply being left to the market?
Council resolved to conduct an unrestricted expression of interest process that is open to all potential buyers, whilst also encouraging affordable housing providers to submit. At the conclusion of the expression of interest and sales processes, officers will bring a further report to council to decide the final sales outcome. This report will consider how the expression of interest submissions meet council's objectives in line with the resolution.
Thank you very much. So with that, I believe that concludes the questions.
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for submitting your questions. We'll now move to items.
Brooke.
Apologies, Mayor, if I might interrupt for just a moment. If I can just come up and just adjust the camera. I've just realised the angle's not showing all the councillors, so I'll just be.
Sure.
Oh,
Yep,
thank
okay.
you.
Well,
Want to interrupt while we're going through there?
I haven't been trained yet.
It's fine. It's fine.
but you can actually look at a little toggle there, do you?
You do. When
Is
I
it motorised? You see, the thing people who can see have got to deal with. Just the
So true.
all of this turmoil. I mean,
I'm used to all 7 being in the room.
yeah.
I could have a lot of fun with this. book.
I couldn't get my access on my laptop to work, so.
No worries. So apologies, everyone. Won't be a moment.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so we're all good now. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going now to item 7. Officer report. So the first item on our list is 7.1, which is the planning application for the Glen Lyon Reserve. And Councillor Cornish, if you could please introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. Council's major projects team has applied for a planning permit to demolish limited parts of the Glen Lyon Recreation Reserve Pavilion to facilitate council upgrades to the building approved on the 26th of May of this year. Planning permission is required under the Heritage Overlay 891 applying to the site. Officers are not delegated to determine the application as it is on council managed land. Council planning officers have assessed the application and recommended that council grants a permit with conditions. The accessible demolition under the Heritage Overlay is limited to the following external works: demolition of the current toilet structure at the south corner of the building, also demolition of the path around the current toilet structure at the south, demolition of the barbecue structures at the north edge of the building. The planning scheme does not require permission for the proposed internal demolition activity, nor the replacement building or works. Public advertising of the application finished on Thursday, the 9th of July, 2026, and no objections were received. This follows previous extensive community stakeholder engagement on the project itself, separate to the current planning process.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Councillor Cornish. Well, councillors, we do have a report. We'll take that as read. We do have an officer recommendation in front of us. Councillors, is anyone prepared to put a motion up for debate on the floor?
Oh, move the officer's
You'll move that.
recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Cornish. And would like to second the motion. Recommendation. Councillor Hewitt, thank you. Councillor Cornish, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I might end up losing my voice again, I think. Anyway, we'll give it a go. Council proposes to demolish parts of the pavilion that are accessible to the or under the Heritage Overlay. And I already mentioned the toilet structure and the south corner of the building. Look, this needs to make way for accessible toilets. It's part of a refurbishment of that wonderful pavilion, and it's very exciting, really. So it's a partial demolition, and we do need a planning permit for it. That's basically it. There's really not much more to add.
So thank you. So just to confirm, so you for the motion, second the motion. So
Yeah.
I declare that motion carried live. Is that correct, Alison? Is that the?
Yeah, we've got to move in secondary.
We've got to move in a seconder.
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I just spoke to it. Yeah.
Just spoke to it. So
Okay.
is there, are we missing anything in process?
Questions?
No, we haven't got there. Sorry, sorry.
Just that councillor Cornish has moved the motion as it is in the agenda.
That's
Correct.
I've moved the officers.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Just to be specific. Yes, it's.
I think I said that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you,
No,
Mick.
it's just making sure that we had the right, what that motion was. That's what governance was just saying, but it was.
Oh.
That's okay. No, it's all good. Yeah, no, it's all fine. Councillor Hewitt, would you like to speak? And then.
Just briefly, Mayor, I'm happy to second this motion, councillors, as the fruition or the next stage in the process to get the Glen Lyon Pavilion redeveloped. It's taken a long time. There's been extensive community consultation to get to this point, and a project advisory committee capably chaired by councillor Cornish that's come up with a proposal. This particular motion only relates to the demolition of the outside toilets, the disability toilets, which certainly, in my view, do need to be demolished. And the barbecue area at the end and the path. It's that's all it is. It's about demolishing those areas to start the next stage of the process.
Thank you very much. So, councillors, I'll open it up for any questions and clarification, and then we can also, if people like to speak for or against the motion. Councillor Henderson, you had a question?
I take it that this, through you, Mayor, I take it that this is only, we're dealing only with the demolition of this project and not the actual building of it. That will come later. So this is only concerning the demolition.
This is, so I'll see some clarification. My understanding is about the planning permit. Mr. Torres?
That is correct, Mayor. This assessment and recommendation is purely about the demolition of the items Councillor Hewitt listed, not about the construction of any building.
Sorry, just to clarify a little bit further, this is the permit to allow the demolition,
Yes.
and then the demolition and construction will come to council for as a separate component. Is that so? It's a separate matter. Yeah, it is a separate matter. Thank you. Did that answer, Councillor Henderson? Thank you. Any other questions? No. Anyone like to speak for or against the motion, councillors?
I would like to speak briefly.
Councillor Henderson?
This project has been going on for a long time. It's been really, I'd say, the old Holcomb ward of the council. It's not yours anymore, but the old Holcomb ward, in my view, missed out for many, many years, almost as many years as I've been on council, 17.5 years. So it's a good thing to see this project started, and it'll even be better to see it finished. And so we have to do the demolition to get it on the way, but we do need to get on and give the people out in that area some meeting point and some focus of where they can go and where they can organise their various events and so on, and be a real community space. So I look forward to that day. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors?
Yes,
Yes,
I'd just like to echo Councillor Henderson. It's good to see this kicking off, and sooner the better. Wonderful.
Anyone else see other councillors? Otherwise, well, so any other last comments, Councillor Cornish, before we go?
It's just a wonderful project, and we have a PAG member here, Chris. Thank you for coming. We worked very well together, and I say the timing was good. It didn't take too long. Some of these things can stretch out a bit, but it's all been very efficient. And I think Glen residents are very, very excited about this. So we're happy to progress it.
Thank you very much. All right, councillors. Well, with that, I'll put the motion as provided for the vote. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Carried unanimously.
Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, councillors. And I'm glad it's really looking forward, and Lake's really looking forward to it. Going to be great. Okay, we'll go to item 7.2, planning permit for 63 Central Road, Central Springs. Now, Councillor Henderson, would you like to introduce this, please?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a planning permit application for 63 Central Springs Road, Dalesford. And this permit is better known as, it's probably a fairly controversial site where a bottle shop was proposed. And this permit actually goes to amend, just to be sure about what we're doing. We're amending the current planning permit, and the permit allows to delete the use of the land for a bottle shop and introduce a gymnasium and Pilates studio. So while this is not a new permit, it actually changes the permit to reflect the VCAT decision. And so that bottle shop will no longer exist, and in place of it will have a gym and Pilates studio and 3 shops. So you have the recommendation there before us.
Thank you very much, Councillor Henderson, noting that this also came after a community conference last week. So, councillors, we have an officer recommendation in front of us. Do we wish to put, someone like to put that motion forward or provide an alternative?
I'm happy to remove that.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. As per the officer's recommendation.
Per the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. I'd like to second that.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Cornish. Councillor Henderson, as the mover, would you like to speak for the motion, please?
Yes, I would, and I must commend the people who were involved in this particular application, because what happened is we have a process of getting the objectors and the applicant together, and that process was a very, very well-run process, and as a result of it, most of the objections to the permit were withdrawn by the applicant, so that the main contentious issues were withdrawn, and that's a really good outcome in my view. This permit allows for a vacant block in the commercial zone of the Shire. Just remember, there are houses there, but this is a commercial zone, and it's for the purpose. This fits well with the purpose. It provides a need, and some of the issues that were raised by the objectors were a great big pylon sign, which was a bit over the top in the view of the objectors, and that was agreed to be removed by the applicant. So I think it's a good use. It's a healthy use, probably a bit more healthy than a bottle shop, but nevertheless, it's there, and it's really something good for the township here. And I'm sure that surrounding areas, people will come to a gym. They'll come to Pilates, and it's a much needed addition to the township of Daylesford. So I commend it to my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Councillor Cornish.
No, I don't. I think Councillor Henderson covered more main points as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, councillors, I might, if there are any points of clarification, and then I'll open up for those.
Question, Mayor.
Councillor Hewitt.
Mr. Torres, Councillor Henderson has indicated that most of the objections to the permit were resolved at the meeting between objectors and applicants, which, as he says, is good news. The one remaining one that the councillors were notified or asked about was a resident suggesting that there was concern about the 24-hour access to the gym and what impact that might have late at night and in the early hours of the morning on the amenity of the residential properties, which acknowledged are in a commercial zone in the area. The residents suggested perhaps a limited trial period for the operation of the gym at over 24 hours, and then going back and reviewing that at the end. I'd just like to ask you, what would the planning perspective be on that? Is that something that could be, that would be advised or not advised?
Thank you, Councillor Hewitt. Through you, Mayor Clark. The concerns around amenity were an aspect of some of the objections we received, and that's particularly around this new element of a 24-hour operation of the gymnasium. There is a suggestion that perhaps an alternate could be creating a trial period for the late night operation, after which the whole matter is reassessed. Officers do not recommend that approach. It's not common practice to have permits that expire after a certain period of time, because that creates a lack of uncertainty for a business operator, and it creates uncertainty for what process will occur after that period. So officers have given careful consideration to that request and to the potential amenity impacts, and consider that through careful conditions in this permit, that the amenity impacts can be properly managed through conditions that are enforceable by council or by any person should they wish to. Conditions, Councillor Hewitt, such as an acoustic fence requirement along the shared boundary with residences, a condition around limitations on deliveries, a condition around the requirement for an operational management plan so that council can be sure of how the operation will operate whilst minimising noise impacts, patron activities and the like. And there's also another set of conditions, conditions 14 to 24, that tackle a whole host of other amenity impacts. So it's our strong view that there are enough controls and protections in this permit for an ongoing permanent permit to be issued, or a gymnasium and a Pilates studio in a commercial context.
Thank you, Mr. Torres.
Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Drone.
Got a couple of questions, Mayor. Following on from Councillor Hewitt's question around amenity, particularly noise, it has come up as an objection point through this, and I just want to ask around the particular zoning of this site, around the commercial zoning, and the fact that we have a number of residences adjoining and nearby, and what rights they have in that space, given that it's they are residing both domestically but living within a zone that is zoned differently. So how have we reconciled that complicated sort of set of circumstances in this case?
Through you, Mayor Clark, all neighbours have the right to expect that council will enforce the permit conditions that apply to this site should it be approved. I do note, however, that I don't believe that any adjoining residences have actually objected to this, because all objectors to this application have actual rights to challenge council's decision tonight at VCAT. I don't believe any of the immediately adjoining ones have objected. Just in terms of context, those houses that front onto Miller Street behind, they're in a commercial zone as well. And that zoning, Councillor Clark, was established quite some time ago as part of council's strategic work, perhaps in the early 2000s or thereabouts. So this has been a long established commercial area with on a busy truck route on Bridport Street, and with sort of large commercial and non-residential uses on Bridport Street as well.
Thank you. Additional questions, Councillor Dryden?
Yeah, so the elephant in the room for me is around the prior permit application around a liquor licence and a liquor business, a substantial one, and what provisions are in place with this application for the protection of the community should an application be received for another liquor licence in one of the retail spaces.
Councillor Clark, that's a good question.
Sorry, just point of order though. Does this relate to the matter in front of us?
It does. So I'm comfortable in answering this.
Okay, right.
As Councillor Henderson mentioned at the start, this application, should it be approved tonight, overrides the previous permit that is sought to be amended. So the previous permit allowed a large building with a bulk alcohol retail store in it. This permit will supersede that immediately once this is approved and the VCAT appeal period is complete. However, there are three little shops proposed as part of this proposal, retail outlets, and they could be used for the sale of alcohol. But these are small shop fronts compared to the previous permit that allowed a bulk liquor store.
And just to be clear, Mr. Torres, so that is a separate issue, liquor licences, that's not relating to what we're talking about today.
That's correct. That's a
We can talk
separate
about
process.
this permit. Thank you. Councillor Dryling?
That's all for me.
Thank you. All right, councillors, any other questions?
No.
No? Anyone would like to speak against? No, councillors? Councillor Hens, would you just like to sum up?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I haven't actually put in a question. I
No,
haven't submitted it formally. But would it be at all possible for me to just ask a couple of questions or one question at this point in time?
no, unfortunately, no. The rules are very strict.
I understand that.
So no, unfortunately, no.
Did-
But
Thought I'd ask.
no, thank you. No harm in asking. All right, so councillors, we have in front the recommendation in front of us. So there's the motion. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Excuse me, don't you want to ask people if they want to speak for or against it?
I did.
No, that was just questions.
I did actually. Yes, what do you want? Yes, what do I like to speak for or against? I did actually answer. Sorry, I thought I did.
Moving very
The
fast.
discipline's great. Well done, guys. I'm loving it. Thank you.
I wouldn't mind just speaking.
Councillor,
for-
would you like to speak too after?
I'm happy to go after councillor Hookie.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
I just wanted to acknowledge that there was a planning conference held despite the fact that the number of objectors was below the threshold that we normally need, and that was because of the past history. And as councillors, of course, we one of our things we do is try and echo the community sentiment, and there is a sense that folk in the community would support this commercial enterprise. And to the question of the after hours noise, which has been raised a little bit, I think logically there's a level at which we have to look to how many people would be looking to complete a workout between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. And we were cited some of the figures. That is a very low number of people who would be looking for a workout at 3 a.m. So perhaps a few shift workers, but not a large volume.
They're coming from Melbourne. Oh, sorry.
Melbourne.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hewitt.
Yes, I would happy to support this motion and thank the officers for the extensive conditions that they put on this application and the work that's gone into it. I think that it does make for a suitable use as on what has been a very contested site. A proposal is for a gym. There are a number of gyms already operating in Daylesford, and I want to acknowledge that because a number of people have contacted me and raised concern about the impact on their businesses. Unfortunately, as councillors know, impact on business is not a planning matter. And as long as the proposal is compliant and the conditions that the officers have put onto the proposal makes it one that is indeed acceptable and market forces will play out.
Thank you. Anyone like to speak for or against councillors? No, I think we're all done. All right, councillors. Well, with that, I will propose to put the motion to the floor. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Carried unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you very much. I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll go to item 7.3, review of the Audit and Risk Committee. And I will ask Councillor Hood to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Councillors, agenda item 7.3, as indicated by the Mayor, addresses the matter of...
So, Councillor Hood, I'll just ask you just to hold it 2 seconds. We've got a volume issue.
Oh.
Sorry, if you can please speak again. Sorry, Councillor Hood.
Yeah, how's that? Is that
now? Yep, keep going now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. Councillors, agenda item 7.3 addresses the matter of revising the charter of the Audit and Risk Committee, and you'll be mindful that the Local Government Act 2020 mandates that all councils must have an Audit and Risk Committee. So the charter was last reviewed and updated 2 years ago in 2024. So this paper and report before us proposes a number of relatively small or minor updates to the charter.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hood. And I'll just also for councillors to note that this is an out-of-session review prompted by some feedback from the Audit Risk Committee and a member resigning from the committee. So, councillors, we do have an officer recommendation in front of us. Would anyone like to put their officer recommendation or propose an alternative recommendation?
I'd be happy to put a motion on the table, Mr Mayor.
Yes.
And it is a variation on the officers' recommendation, just one variation to what is recommended by the officers. And that would be that council adopts the revised Audit and Risk Committee Charter, noting that the number of independent members will remain as 4.
Thank you, Councillor Hood. So can Councillor see that motion covered?
I'm just working on that now. Apologies.
Sorry, just before, just so people can see it, I think it's important.
Be up in front of you now.
All right, councillors, so that's our recommendation. Councillors, do we have anyone like to second the motion? Thank you, Councillor Cornish. I'll declare that motion on the floor for debate. Councillor Hood is the mover. Would you like to speak first?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, we will be mindful that the Audit and Risk Committee plays a very important role for any organisation and council in particular. And it's essentially in 2 parts. It provides quite appropriate scrutiny over council's operations with its adherence to policies and procedures. It reviews its financial performance. It looks at compliance. It adds scrutiny over risk management. It manages internal and external audit programs, and it also examines performance reporting. So through the 4 independent members and the 2 council representatives, the committee provides recommendations to the councillor group, particularly in the area of scrutiny over that wide range of functions. It also provides an advisory capacity. Being a non-decision-making body, it provides valuable advice to the councillor group. So in retaining 4 independent members, I think that is very appropriate given council's current challenges and outlook and performance, that if anything, more scrutiny is required rather than less scrutiny, and more advice, independent expert advice, is required rather than less. So hence the change that's being suggested here. It's a bit of a moving feast. The number of items that an Audit and Risk Committee looks at is expanding, particularly in the IT area and with things like artificial intelligence. Having 4 independent members who have skills in those areas, obviously not all areas, but it's important that we do have those areas covered through their experience. This motion before us, of course, does not relate at all to the performance of the Audit and Risk Committee. This is simply looking at its charter and making some minor updates to it.
30 seconds, Councillor Hood.
I think there is a strong case, given Hepburn's current challenges and outlook, to retain the 4 independent members, which is a process that we've had for many years. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hood. Councillor Cornish, would you like to speak?
Yes, I do support the motion. Having 4 independent members makes sense. We have had that for a while, and I support it. I don't have anything further to add to what Councillor Hood has already stated, but there will be a review in a couple of years' time, and I think it's important that council has another revisit at that time.
Perfect, Steve.
May I just clarify some wording, because I think the wording was a bit clumsy that we had before, because we said with the exception of, it should just be with 4 independent members.
With Councillor Hood, are you comfortable with that minor?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Councillor Cornish?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, nothing else changes.
Yep. Okay, we'll take that fine. We've got that. That's everyone's the move and the second are comfortable with that. Councillors, any questions? And I'll call for and speak. Councillor Henderson.
The question is that there seems to be a perception in the community that the auditing and the governance of our finances hasn't been what the community feels it should be. is the council able to review how the Audit and Risk Committee operates? I mean, I know that people get appointed for perhaps 4 years, but in that time, if we discover the Audit and Risk Committee isn't working, what review options do we have?
Ms Dool, the CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think theoretically it's a committee of council and you could haul it in at any point. However, you'd have to have very good reasons, especially with 4 independent members. There'd have to be some serious problem that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, you let the regular time frame for renewal go through. So every 4 years is the standard. This will coincide with the 4th year because it's a 2-year extension when we're at 2 years. If that makes sense. So I think it's always within the purvey of council if anything bad happens.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Would anyone else like to speak for or against the motion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to briefly speak for the amended motion, and I just wanted to acknowledge that this number of independent members is exceptional for a small rural shire, but we are an exceptional shire and we are a complex shire, so I think at this time this is an appropriate retention. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much, councillor. Anyone else like to speak for or against?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Drowley.
Yes, I'd support this version of the motion, and for the reasons others have spoken about. I think this time we're coming out of a significant amount of turmoil and questions around our status. I think that it's important to maintain our level of oversight, and that it's and that certainly not a question of its efficacy in the past at all. I'm certainly not hearing that. So it's I think that it's good to review these processes, and I respect the council, the officers bringing this to us.
Anyone else want to speak for or against? No. Thank you. All right, councillor, would you just like any summary remarks?
I don't think it's really needed, Mr Mayor. Nobody spoke against the motion, so I don't think I really need to exercise the right of reply other than to recommend this motion to my colleagues.
Thank you. All right, with that, councillors, I'll put the motion as presented on for the vote. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Carried unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And just to to put in my own, I mean, I want to extend a thank you to the Audit and Risk Committee. I think they do an exceptional job in bringing some external independent, great. And I think having the bulk and the decision-making majority as independents, I think is a wonderful thing. So I just wanted to pass on my thanks to the chair and the committee of that, and thank the officers for that recommendation. Really appreciate it. All right, councillors, we'll now move to item 7.4, revision of instruments. This is under the Environment and Planning Act 1987 and the Environment Protection Act 2017. These councillors, these are administrative in nature. The purpose of this is to recognise the change in staff, to update the delegations to allow the appropriate administration of council. Would anyone like to? I think that'll be for the introduction. Would anyone like to put the motion forward or put an alternative motion?
To move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, councillor Hewitt. Anyone like to second that? Thank you, councillor Henderson. Would you like to speak for or?
Just to say that is an administrative matter that hopefully we're going to council.
Great, thank you.
Say anything else about it?
Councillor Henderson.
I'd just like to see less of these motions come forward, because I hope that our planning sorts itself out and we actually get some staff that are able to find themselves able to stay at our shire and be attracted to our shire. So if we've got a full planning complement, I hope that stay with us and we don't have to anywhere else delegation. We can stick with this into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak for or against? I think it's questions. No, all right, I'll with that, councillors, I will put that motion to the floor. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Carried unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you very much, as per the officer's recommendation. Thank you very much. All right, councillors, we'll now move to item 8, which is items of urgent business. We do have an item here. Our governance rules have 2 criteria that it arises out of a matter which has arisen since the distribution of the agenda, and it cannot be safely or conveniently deferred to the next meeting. So that is we have the motion in front of us. So I'm not going to call for do I need a second do we just got to call, we've got to vote for this motion, don't we?
We need a mover and a seconder, please, Mayor.
Mover, do we have a mover for the motion?
Yes.
Thank you, councillor Drowley. Do I have anyone to second that? Councillor Hood. Okay. Well, we have the motion in front of us. We'll get the motion live. That it's going to be accepted as an item of urgent business. So, councillors, all those in favour, raise your hand.
Urgent business, yes.
Of urgent business, yes.
Councillors voting in favour are Councillor Hood, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cornish, Councillor Hockey, Councillor Dryley,
All those against?
Councillor Henderson, Councillor Hewitt.
Thank you. I declare the motion carried. So we will now move to the, we'll declare that the matter of urgent item has been submitted for council. So I will ask Councillor Dryley, before I call for a motion, I'll ask Councillor Dryley, would you like to introduce the motion, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, look, this motion is about making sure regional and rural councils and communities are not left carrying the costs of major renewable energy and transmission projects. Large projects can place significant pressure on local roads, bridges and other council assets, particularly through heavy construction traffic. For small councils with limited rate bases, those costs can be really substantial. But the impacts are broader than council budgets. Local communities can also carry the disruption, uncertainty and cumulative impacts of major projects, while repeatedly telling us they want to be heard, properly consulted and given a genuine role in shaping what happens in their own region. And Hepburn Shire has consistently raised serious concerns about and continues to oppose the Western Renewables Link in its current form. At the same time, we recognise the need for the broader transition to renewable energy. That makes it even more important that the transition is done well, fairly and with communities rather than to them. And at the moment, councils often have to negotiate individually with proponents and prove where infrastructure damage has come from. That becomes even harder when several projects are using the same road network and the impacts are cumulative. The principle behind this motion is simple. It's around the reasonable costs created by major projects should be built into project costs rather than shifted onto councils, ratepayers and host communities. A consistent statewide framework would give councils, communities and proponents greater certainty, deal more fairly with cumulative impacts and help ensure that where major energy infrastructure projects proceed, regional communities are properly heard, empowered and left stronger than carrying an unfunded legacy.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dryley. Councillor Hood, would you like to, oh no, hang on, so we need to get a motion going first. Sorry, I was getting myself confused. So thank you for the introduction. So we have a proposed motion, councillors, in front of us. Would somebody like to put that forward or present an alternative?
Then I had to put my motion forward unless there's...
Well, that's you. You want to put it forward? Yep, as provided.
There is another motion that...
No, I'll move an amendment when I want to.
Okay. Right.
So you put that forward as presented?
My motion is, as I'll read it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
The council resolved to admit the item relating to submitting a motion to the Municipal Association of Victoria State Council into urgent business in accordance with council's governance rules. Division 3, item 20 as item relates it to arise out of a matter which has arisen since distribution of the agenda, cannot safely or conveniently be deferred until the next council meeting. The motion is, sorry, that was the part. The council submits the following motion to the 23rd October 2026 MAV State Council, that the MAV calls on the Victorian Government to establish a statewide framework for renewable energy transmission projects to ensure host councils are not financially disadvantaged by the construction, operation and decommissioning of these projects. The framework should be developed in consultation with MAV and affected councils as a matter of urgency. 2, require proponents to meet the full reasonable cost of impacts on local government infrastructure, including roads, bridges, drainage and other council assets arising from and in connection with the construction, operation and decommissioning of projects. 3, reduce the administrative and evidentiary burden on councils by establishing 1, mandatory pre-construction condition assessments. 2, prescribed methodologies for assessing road and infrastructure impacts. 3, project traffic monitoring and ongoing traffic reporting requirements. 4, formula-based contributions where appropriate. And 5, a rebuttal presumption that deterioration on designated construction transport routes during the relevant project period is attributable to project traffic to the extent that determined under the prescribed methodology. And 4, provide effective mechanisms for measuring cumulative impacts, particularly where multiple renewable energy transmission or associated projects use the same local road network, so that councils are not required to establish which particular project caused individual items of damage. And 5, require appropriate financial security from proponents to ensure funds are available for maintenance, rehabilitation and final reinstatement of affected council's infrastructure.
Thank you. All right, councillor, so we have the motion. Can all councillors see that on the screen? That's up there. Thank you. Would anyone like to second that motion? Councillor, thank you, councillor. All right, so we have Councillor Drowling and Councillor Hood. So, Councillor Drowling, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As I've said in the preamble, this is of some considerable community concern locally. We've been hearing from particularly the Kingston and District Power Alliance around the concerns of traffic movement with the potential for the implementation of WRL on local roads and the avenue of honour and the amenity that the increased traffic brings to those areas without communities having a say, a direct say on some of those movements and being compensated for the use of those roads, which statistically has been shown to have considerable costs for councils, and often, as I said, has to be negotiated on a one-to-one basis, which is both costly for councils and is complicated, and often the conversation is weighted against them when you're dealing with big companies. So this is about broadening out this conversation so that there's a framework for councils to address this problem as a united front, and so that there's a methodology for assessing these sorts of projects in a consistent way that is really fair for local communities, and they're empowered in this space to have better outcomes, which we're seeing in terms of community benefit. There's been a real question mark around how we actually manage the renewable energy transition, which in this case, this council has acknowledged the importance of that. But we also need to be mindful that the flow-on effects needs to be have some local benefit too, in terms of the ongoing resilience and of our communities. And it's a big. There are some really big questions around the climate crisis and the need to get on with these sorts of projects. But we've also affirmed that the WRL has been rolled out to this point. The negotiation and community engagement has been pretty appalling, and it's this in no ways is admitting defeat on that front with a decision pending, that we actually do need to get on the front foot and get these sorts of frameworks in place now.
Thank you very much, Councillor Drowling. Councillor Hood, would you like to speak to the motion as the seconder?
Yes, briefly, I will, Mayor. Thank you. Councillors, I'm noting that renewable energy and transmission projects are very complex in their nature, and they have far-reaching effects. The motion before us simply calls on the state government, through the MAV, to formulate a consistent statewide framework. Now, it makes eminent sense that complex projects should be the subject to proper frameworks to guide their progress. And my reading of this motion is that quite clearly, in a number of ways, its intention is to protect the interests of councils and our communities. Therefore, I'm more than happy to support the intention of this motion. Makes perfect sense.
Thank you, Councillor Hood. Councillors, any questions before I open up for to speak for or against? No, Councillor, you want to speak for or against the motion?
Mayor, I'll speak against the motion.
Yes.
I'm speaking against this motion not because I don't see the importance of it, but because I fail to see how it's an urgent matter that's arisen since the distribution of the agenda, that we know that the Western Renewable Transmission Line has been going on for a number of years, and I cannot see why it can't be deferred to the next council meeting, because the urgency is actually around the MAV meeting, not the introduction or the proposal to go ahead with the Western Transmission, Western Renewables, WRL. Council has opposed this from the beginning and actively worked with the community against this. There's been no announcement about the ESS process or whether the Western Renewable Link will proceed. So I think this is a premature attempt to progress this matter. We know that there's a state in the absence of any report through the ESS process. We know that there's already been the Liberal Party saying they won't proceed with the VNI, and so it's in a state of flux. Whether that happens or not, we just don't know. I have concerns. I don't have the same confidence that Councillor Drylee and Councillor Hood have in the MAV's capacity to negotiate a template that's consistent with the needs of all the councils. There are many councils that are not impacted by this change in transmission line. And there are also, through my experience in the MAV, a number of the metro councils who do not understand what the impact of some of this infrastructure is. So I don't have confidence that that the MAV is an effective organisation to do that. So I can't support the motion.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak for or against? Councillor Henderson.
Through you, Mayor, I also speak against this motion, mostly for the reasons that Councillor Hewitt has raised. I don't have the confidence. I too have spoken to many of the councils involved, some who are rural councils and some who support, in fact, and rely heavily on the renewables in their particular locality. So I'm not sure that I would put my eggs in all the MAV basket. I'm not sure of the way that they are going to negotiate an outcome, whether they have the capacity that our community has had. Our community have been the most committed community in anywhere in Australia, and equal to, if not better than anyone in fighting this Western Renewables link, and not because they're against renewable energy, but because of where it's going and how it's going. I believe that the Hepburn Shire is a unique player in this game, and it's vastly different, it is vastly different to all the others in the fact that it's a small shire, it's very arable land. I think an alternative needs to be found, and I'm not against renewable energy, far from it. But the way it's going and where it's going is the wrong thing, and I think we're giving tacit approval of this by saying, well, we can't stop it, but we'll make sure you fix our roads. We don't even want it here, and that's been the message that we've given to our ratepayers and residents, and we've been very well supported in that by our residents and ratepayers. And I think it's premature to more or less give tacit approval. And I know that that's not what my colleagues have said. They've all said, yes, well, we don't.
30 seconds, Councillor.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball here. but never mind. I don't agree with it, and I think we should just stick to what we've got at the moment and call it quits, and I'm opposed to it.
Thank you, Councillor. So also just remind councillors, if you wish to put an amendment forward at any stage, please do so.
I wish to put on,
Yes. Councillor Cornish, yes?
I think we have a copy of the amendment.
To read it in.
I will. Firstly, I will say there's a sequence, numbering sequence that will change, and there's dot point 2 and 3 here. So dot point 1 will remain the same as, oh, well, it's on, well, the whole thing on the screen. I won't talk about the differences between Councillor Dryley's and this. I'll read out the.
Read it off and then we'll just check to see if it's.
Okay, dot point 2, 1, I'll read out the 2. Notes that council reaffirms its position that the underground and or alternative routing of transmission infrastructure must be genuinely considered, particularly where this would avoid or substantially reduce impacts on high-value agricultural land, significant landscapes, heritage areas and communities. And dot point 3 requires that this position is consistent with Council's May 2021 resolution and subsequent affirmations of Council's opposition to the Western Renewables Link in its above-ground configuration and proposed route.
Thank you. All right, so I will just, Councillor Dryley, are you prepared to accept the amendments?
Mayor, I am cautious about accepting the amendments on the basis that it confuses the motion going to the MAB with our own position, but I understand that there is a process that can go through to amend motions that are more consistent with broader council's context. So on that basis, I'm willing to accept it, but acknowledging that it may come back to us.
Okay, so accepting the words as they are. Councillor Hood, are you prepared to accept as the seconder? Are you prepared to accept?
Yes, I am. I think paragraphs 2 and 3 strengthen the motion, and they address some of the distracting comments that have been made, preempting that this would somehow compromise our long-held position. So, yes, I accept 2 and 3.
Thank you. All right, so councillors, we now have a revised. Yes, Councillor Henderson.
It's just accepting it. It's not revising it. I think we need to put the amendment, and then that, if carried, that amendment becomes part of the motion, and then we put the motion. I believe that's the way it works.
But my understanding is that if the mover and the seconder accept it, that then becomes a live motion. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, yes. So it's because now we have a new motion or a revised motion for discussion and debate on that basis. So
okay, I'll speak.
So thanks. We'll come back. So we'll allow obviously everyone to speak. So Councillor Cornish, as the for the amendment, allow you to speak.
I thought it was important to add those 2 dot points because the intent of the original motion didn't have the focus on council's position. It had a focus on repair, renewal, community sentiment, which is very important, and how our community and our land would be affected and what we require. I needed to not override Councillor Dryley's intent, but put the intent of council's position as a priority, because that is, to me, and it may not be to everyone, but to myself, the most important point. So that will be the focus, and the other points will follow from that. So it provides clarity as well. So it's very solid and clear. So that's why I propose those amendments.
Thank you. Right.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to support the original motion.
So we have the motion. Anyone would like to speak against or for? So Councillor Hewitt, then Councillor Henderson.
Whilst I was speaking against this motion as well, whilst I acknowledge Councillor Cornish's intent and agree with it, I've heard Councillor Dryley in accepting the amendment saying that he's aware that the MAV can change motions to make them more fit the wider state position. And so he supports the motion because he thinks the MAV may change it anyway. So that would
change the intent.
well, they can if they put the motion to the council that doesn't have that position included, so I can't support this.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson.
Yes, I'm wondering whether I'm speaking against the amendment or I'm speaking against the motion, because I'm happy to address the amendment as it was put.
You've already spoken against the motion, so feel free to speak.
I've already spoken.
It is the new motion in front of us, but if you wish to speak specifically to the amendment, that's also fine.
But am I speaking against the motion?
The motion. Yep, not the amendment.
I've already spoken against the motion.
It's the motion.
Yes,
If there's an amendment and the amendment gets seconded, then we then pass or refuse the amendment and we vote for the motion.
So you're talking about a point of order process. So I'll just go to governance. Alison, would you like to just talk through that, just refresh us on that process?
Yes, Mayor. In the governance rules 32.3, if a motion or an amendment is moved and seconded, the chair must ask, is the motion or amendment opposed? Does any councillor wish to speak to it? If no one indicates any opposition, the chair may declare the motion or amendment carried without discussion.
Yeah, so we doubt.
So the mover and the seconder of the original motion agreed to the amendment.
Yes.
And it became, and you declared that
Correct, began the new motion.
It is the motion.
Yep.
So point of clarification, so who's the mover and seconder of this? Understand Councillor Cornish is the mover. Who seconded it?
Oh no, he accepted it.
So my understanding is the mover and seconder is still Councillor Drolling and Councillor Hood. Would that be correct?
No. Councillor Cornish and Councillor Driver.
Councillor Drolling, okay. Thank you. Okay, sorry. I'm learning all the time. This is great. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Henderson, did you wish to speak against any part of this?
No.
No, you're fine. Thank you.
I would, Councillor Clark.
No worries, thank you.
Yes, I'd like to speak against the amended motion. I'd like to acknowledge that there are particular circumstances that led to this being presented as an urgent motion, but there are consequences of its urgency. We haven't had time to consider it properly, nor have we had time to assess whether the community more broadly backs this position of the council. So, yeah, I'm opposed to the amended motion.
Thank you. All right, would anyone, Councillor, like to speak?
I'd just like to say that the two amended points are the position of council. They're endorsed.
Now, yes.
No, they were endorsed in 2021.
Oh, sorry, I see what you're saying. Thank you.
Yeah, they are the endorsed position of council, not this council, previous council.
Thank you for that point of clarification. Thank you. All right, so councillors, I'll offer Councillor Drolling as the mover. I'll offer you the right of reply before.
No, I moved it. Cornish was the mover.
Sure, Councillor Cornish is the mover.
I've just finished it up.
Oh, you
put it to the vote. Put it to the vote.
So putting the amendment to the vote, because I have a right of reply to the original motion.
No, this is the motion. This has been accepted as the motion. This is the motion, as I understand.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's,
It is correct, Mayor.
okay, thank you. Thank you. This is not confusing at all for anyone. Okay, well, thank you. So, all right, so we've had advice from government, so you've had a right of reply.
We'll just put it to the vote.
Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Those in favour, Councillor Hood, Councillor Cornish, Councillor Dryley,
All those against, raise your hand.
Councillor Henderson, Councillor Hewitt, Councillor Hockey, Councillor Clark.
Okay, I declare the motion defeated. And I would just like to add in my view is that while I fully support the intent behind what's there, I think similar to Councillor Hockey, I think we do need to have some greater discussion. And Councillor Hewitt, I think there are some things that we need to explore. It's a little bit premature, and I'm particularly keen to ensure that the community are involved more broadly in this sort of decision. So thank you, councillors. I think that was a good debate, and thank you, Councillor Drolling, for the opportunity to learn some of the governance stuff and get that right. So, and appreciate you putting that forward. All right, councillor. So we'll move now to item 9, councillor and CEO reports. So I will open with the mayor's report, and I'd like to sort of begin by saying how pleased I am to be able to chair our ordinary meeting in August after being able to conduct our ordinary council meeting. And it's interesting, you know, I think the community feedback that I've had personally following the striking out of all charges from the DPP has been exceptionally positive, welcoming, and with a big sigh of relief. And I just want to thank the community for their support over what has been a very, very difficult 4 weeks. Because I know when I'm confident I speak on behalf of all councils when I say that as elected public representatives, we are here to support our community. We are here to do the very best that we personally can in our own way to make our home a better place. And again, I think, you know, again, just speaking very personally, to have what I personally deem to be unfounded criminal charges placed against me, which I consider a personal attack, has had its consequences. This is an attack for doing my job, and it's going to have, you know, quite, I think, long-term personal and professional consequences for me in my personal professional life, which has been a real challenge. And I want to acknowledge now that I'm very, very pleased this is behind us and now we can look forward to us. I would also like to welcome Janet Doyle as our interim CEO. Welcome, Ms. Doyle. I know many people in our community have met you, and I know are looking forward to meeting you. And we're very, you know, so a big personal welcome on board. And I'd also like to let the community know that we've commenced our recruitment process for our permanent CEO. We're hoping to advertise for that position in mid to late September, shortlisting in mid-October, and hopefully commencing our interview process in late October. And certainly we'll be keeping the community advised how the process is going. I think it's important to acknowledge we do have some real challenges ahead of us. You know, to secure increased funding, to improve and build our community cohesion and trust, developing partnerships both within our shire and externally from our shire. And we need to be working really closely with businesses both within and externally outside our shire, businesses, governments, a community organisation, and of course our community. Right, and I want to acknowledge and thank our community for all the tangible and intangible benefits that they have worked so hard. Just in conclusion, I really want to just take a moment to acknowledge the real courage of the councils that were directly affected over the last month. I want to acknowledge the courage of their belief, the courage to be a public representative, to stand up and be accountable, and the courage to be prepared to make a change in the face of adversity, and the courage to stand up in the face of personal attacks. And I think I just want to say thank you and acknowledge that. I'm looking forward to the coming months, and we're going to have hopefully a lot of fun. So thank you all, councillors. That concludes my report. Now we'll now move to individual councillor reports. So, Councillor Henderson, I'd like to invite you to provide, and welcome back, because this is your first meeting, I think, since March. So, I'd love to have you back.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the community for their overwhelming support during a recent state of turmoil in our shire. For myself, there is no room nor time to do much reflecting upon what has transpired. I will consider what my response is within the next 12 months. In the meantime, the important job of redefining our shire will be at the forefront. We need not think that with the state elections in the wind, that there is a miraculous answer to our financial position. Only hard work and decisions will determine the reality. I'll not be paying too much lip service and will not be looking back. I was thinking about the actions of some and about the good things that take place within our shire, such as Cresfest, Booktown, Chill Out, Spudfest, and the myriad of other events that not only entertain visitors, but strong community and spirit. And I was also thinking about Words in Winter, which is due to kick off tomorrow. And being a creature of the construction industry, I moved to give credit to Edgar Guest for the following, entitled The Wreckers. I watched them tearing a building down, a gang of men in a busy town. With ho, heave, ho and a lusty yell, they swung a beam and a sidewall fell. I asked the foreman, are these men skilled? Just common labour. No, he gave a laugh and said, no, indeed, just common labour is all I need. I can wreck in a day or two what builders have taken a year to do. And I thought to myself as I went my way, Which of these roles have I tried to play? Am I a builder who works with care, measuring life by rule and square? Am I shaping my deeds to a well-made plan, patiently doing the best I can? Or am I a wrecker who walks the town, content with the labour of tearing down? I think those are very profound words that tell us about what's happened to me, not over the last month, but over the last 5, 6 months, and then perhaps the last 4 or 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson, and great to have you back. Councillor Hewitt.
Thank you, Mayor. Like my fellow councillors, I've been reflecting on the experience of the past few months, particularly the impact, as you both indicated, on ourselves, but our families, the operation of the community, and the operation of council, and ultimately our community. As the Mayor mentioned, 5 of us were stood down following criminal charges that were subsequently struck in the Ballarat Magistrates Court on the 5th of August. Criminal charges are serious and there are proper legal processes for dealing with them. The disagreement with council decisions, whether it's officers or councillors, is something quite different. What's concerned me was the apparent piling on through social media with suggestions that because councillors made decisions or officers acted in ways that people disagreed with, that somehow this indicated corruption. Disagreement is not corruption. There's nothing wrong with strongly challenging council decisions. That's an important part of democracy. But social media has become a great big echo chamber where assertions are repeated until they appear to become facts. So the question for me is, how do residents make their voices heard to council? So read the council papers, ask questions, talk to your councillors, make submissions, come to council meetings and participate in consultations. And at the end of 4 years, if you believe that we councillors have done a bad job, stand for council yourself, support someone you believe would do better, or vote for somebody else. Of course, councillors should be absolutely be scrutinised and held accountable. But that scrutiny, that accountability is strongest when it's based on fact, evidence and fair debate, not assumptions or personal attacks. Anyway, moving on. The state election provides another opportunity to advocate for an important community issue, which for me is the future of the Daylesford Hospital. In the lead up to the last state election, many residents will remember the Hospital Community Upgrade Committee raised $120,000 in 8 weeks towards developing a master plan designed so improvements could be delivered in stages. We know, as Councillor Henderson has indicated, that Victorian government finances are under pressure, so we need to be realistic, but also ambitious about what our community needs. One priority is urgent care. Urgent care attendances in Daylesford have increased by a bit over 5% in the last year. And we know Ballarat Emergency is under enormous pressure with very long waiting times and concerns about staff and patient safety.
30 seconds.
A stronger urgent care service in Daylesford could benefit us all while helping relieve that pressure. Just to let you know, the Daylesford Hospital Community Upgrade Committee recently met with Liberal candidate for Macedon, Kate Kendall, to discuss this proposal. The ask is approximately 10 to 12 million to deliver the next stage. Regardless of politics, this is something I believe our community should advocate for. We don't have to agree on everything, but we should be able to disagree respectfully and come together when something really matters, because this is what strong communities do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hewitt. Councillor Hockey.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, one of the delights of our return to office was the brief period of a few days in which our diaries linked to our were cleared of appointments and we had a few days off after the trauma that 5 of us had experienced. It was wonderful to be put loose and fancy free for a few days after everything we'd been forced to deal with. This was quickly amended, of course, and by the Thursday of the following week, I was back into it with 3 engagements on that one day and more to follow on the Friday. Subsequently, our diaries were refilled with activity and community events. Can I take this opportunity to acknowledge the enormous support I received from the community from the instance events were made public? It sometimes takes a crisis to realise how much your efforts are appreciated. The one fundamental thing we owe the community in gratitude for the extraordinary trust they have placed in us is making sure we play as a team and get along with each other. Recent events have only strengthened my resolve to make sure that happens. Like other parts, Clunes has had a tremendous amount of rain, and at my front gate as of today, I've tipped to date over 170 millimetres from the gauge, a doubtless record for August. The impacts have been more muted than some flood events in the last decade, but still they have stretched the resources of our shire to keep up again. To take one example, the structure known as Bob's Bridge, which provides a pedestrian crossing of the Creswick Creek on the northwestern edge of the township, has had its collapsible sides flung into the nearby trees. So again, hoping we've seen the last of the rain for a little while, but so good to be back in business. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hockey. Councillor Hood.
Thank you, Mayor. In my report, I just want to acknowledge one topic and make a request. I want to acknowledge the extraordinary situation that we've experienced right across the Shire in recent times through the unusually or extreme wet weather. And the topic, of course, is the condition of our roads. And that's well known to the community from one end of the Shire to the other. And what is occurring now is presenting itself as a major safety issue. So I want to acknowledge that, and I want to put forward that it would be appropriate that councillors and the community see a plan, a report in 2 parts going forward for what council plans to do to repair its road network. And I'm acknowledging that some of these roads are the responsibility of council, some are the responsibility of the state government. And I think as a matter of urgency, we need to see a plan for what we are going to do as council in the coming months to, in a priority sense, repair our road network. And of course, part of that would be to examine whether there is adequate funding in our budget to address what is so desperately needed in our road network. The other half of the report would examine what is the effectiveness of the advocacy that we've been undertaking with the state government so that they repair their roads in an urgent and sensible manner. The best example I can give is the road between Daylesford and Trentham, going through Lionville, Bellato and Musk. It's in atrocious condition because of the weather conditions. It's in urgent need of repair, and it's one of many, many, many examples that could be given across the Shire. The road network, its current condition, it's an emergency situation. It needs urgent attention, and I think we need to be, on behalf of our community, seen to be addressing that as best we can as a matter of urgency and in conjunction with the state government.
Thank you, Councillor Hood. Councillor Cornish.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't prepare anything to say. I just thought I'd speak from how I'm feeling about when we all stood down. I mean, we went down one by one, 3 of us together. Our mayor first, Councillor Henderson 5 months ago, I beg your pardon. It's been quoted in Parliament. A quote of mine was quoted in Parliament last week, and it was that I felt like I was a prisoner in my own home. And even prisoners get someone to cook for them occasionally, but I was just there and I couldn't go to any council facility. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It's been mentioned in the media, the ABC, you know, local papers, just huge media reports that a door was opened for a particular litigant. I'd say a plate. It was handed on a plate. A plate. was handed to this person, and the plate contained a flaw in legislation, and it was very, very, very easy to grab. So it wasn't our fault. And I've been listening to Parliament every day, and today the legislation, the bill came up for discussion. Amendments to legislation, unfortunately, it's tied in with other amendments. But there was some discussion, and again, a mention of what I wrote to the shadow local government minister was mentioned again today in Parliament. So this has had a huge effect, and the strange thing about it is it's not something that I myself preempted I would react to in the way I did. I had no control over it. There was a whole gamut of emotions, and I think I'll finish up now, Mayor. The hardest was the attack on my integrity, who I am as a person and what I'm here for. And I asked myself, is it worth it? Is it worth being here? Because the price that I paid was huge, but I'm still here, and I'll go the course. But it hasn't been easy, and the emotions are still a bit raw, and I'm sick at the moment too, so I'll keep getting run down. But apart from that, we're repairing, and we're all repairing. So, and thank you to the community. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councillor Cornish. Councillor Darley.
Thank you, Mayor. It's generally good to look around the room tonight and see a full council sitting here again. And as others have mentioned, the past couple of months have been extraordinarily difficult, but in particular for my councillor colleagues who have stood down, and for our staff and community members who are left without local representation over this time. What stays with me is how fragile local democracy can be, and how important it is that people can elect representatives, have their voices heard, and trust that the disagreements are resolved through robust democratic processes rather than ugly procedural disruption and inflamed disinformation online, as Councillor Hewitt has mentioned. I hope we come back with a renewed appreciation for that responsibility. Also welcome our interim CEO, Janet Dorr, and is pleased to be involved in recruiting Janet during a particularly challenging period. She brings enormous local government experience, and I look forward to working with her as we steady the organisation and rebuild confidence. At the recent regional MAB meeting I attended as Hepburn's delegate, councils were raising many of the similar pressures we're experiencing around deteriorating roads, disaster recovery, renewable energy and transition development, and frustration when regional communities are expected to manage the consequences of major decisions without enough resources or enough to say in making them. And this was a common thread. Regional communities are being asked to carry more infrastructure, more responsibility and more risk without always being given the resources to match. And as Councillor Hood said, the roads are a part of this story, and potholes are everywhere at this time of year, but increasingly with the storm events that the intense events of the last couple of weeks have highlighted this. And I was recently needed to call the RACV for road assistance, but was told it was going to be up to 4 hours wait because of the associated potholes on the Western Highway and the intense weather events of the past week. But as we know, there are bigger issues than potholes, and it's the Victoria's Parliamentary Inquiry into Climate Resilience found that climate risks to our infrastructure are growing, and specifically identified the barriers facing local government. It called for a shift away from simply rebuilding damaged infrastructure like for like and towards building back better. At the same time, ALGA's 2026 National State of Assessments report estimates Australian councils face up to $280 billion in infrastructure renewal and upgrade demand, including around $65 to $68 billion just to replace assets already in poor or very poor condition. So we're starting with a huge infrastructure gap while climate change is making the task harder. And regional Victoria will host much of the renewable energy generation transmission infrastructure needed for our energy transition. I strongly support this transition, but it needs to leave our communities stronger, not hand councils another unfunded liability. And that's why I brought forward a motion for the Mader State Council tonight, seeking support for a statewide framework for requiring major energy proponents to meet the reasonable costs of their
30 seconds.
on council roads and infrastructure. More broadly, state and federal governments need to be properly funded for the roads, bridges, drainage, transport, communications and community infrastructure that will allow regional communities not merely to survive at changing climate, but to thrive. I'll leave it there now.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Appreciate it. All right, councillors, I'd like to put forward a recommendation that the council receives and notes in the Mayor and Councillor report. Do I have a?
I move.
Thank you. Anyone like to second that?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Hocking. All those in favour?
Carried unanimously, Mayor.
Thank you very much, councillors. Chief Executive Officer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the welcome. I did say in my report that I was attending a meeting with the, I think they're still called the Office of Local Government in the department with all CEOs. I'm afraid to say there's nothing really to report. It was it was an introductory session. And the only person left in the Office of Local Government that has a background in local government and good policy knowledge was not even introduced on the call. So I'm very disappointed in the way that local government has again been treated within the structure of the state government and its organisation, and I don't think there is much clout in there, and the push for ensuring that local government is better funded, which is absolutely urgent. I've never seen it in such a precarious state, and it's been mentioned a couple of times tonight. We are not alone, as the chart in my report says. It makes the advocacy all the more important. I was hoping to go to the Regional Council's Victoria meeting next week because I think they're really good advocates, but we have to work across the state. So I'm talking in general terms rather than focusing on what I said in my report, but I think it's more important than what I said in my report, and it just emphasises the need for us to find other revenue opportunities and to quickly escalate plans to convert assets into usable assets rather than let buildings deteriorate. Finally, though, there's a bit of good news because I recently saw an email, somebody might be able to give me some more detail, that we will be getting flood relief funds because of the condition of the roads. Is that correct? Daniel will add to this.
Through the chair, thank you, Janet. We have had advice this week that our application for funding for the next 3 months of recovery works under the Storm Recovery Program has been approved. We're just working through the process of coordinating how we support that process, the evidence that's required, the claims process that's associated with that, and all the other residual work that goes into that process. And there'll be a council bulletin included in this week's edition, providing some further advice to councillors.
That's great. That's great. I wonder if we better put that out once.
It's a big win.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Finish on good news. Good news.
Thank you. Is that it? Is that it?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
leave it there. I think.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thor. I'd like to put a recommendation forward that council receive and note the CO report for August.
Yes.
So moved by councillor Hockey, seconded by councillor Henderson. All those in favour?
It's unanimous, Mayor.
Thank you very much. All right, council. Well, that we move to item 10 to close the meeting. So I'd like to thank officers for all the work and effort that you've done to bring all this meeting together and your ongoing commitment. So thank you. Thank you to the community for attending both in person and online, and councillors, thank you for your ongoing and tireless efforts for our community. So with that, I declare our August 25th meeting closed. So we just close the meeting now.
I will just take the moment now. If everyone can just remain seated while I do that until I tell you that the live streaming has.
Yep, thank you.
Until it does take a little bit of time. I will let you know.
Yep.